The Mandalorian Season 3 was a letdown. There's no other way for me to put it. The first two seasons were so good and they built up so much hype and anticipation, and the third season just kind of didn't deliver on any of that. Now, I only started watching Star Wars about a year ago, so I don't really know how hype it was when Season 2 was airing, specifically the season finale with Luke Skywalker. But I hear around the internet that it was a pretty good time to be a Star Wars fan. For the first time in a long time, the fandom was united and excited for the future of Star Wars. So where exactly did Season 3 of Mandalorian go wrong? My main issue with Season 3 is that it undid everything Season 1 and 2 built. So in Season 1, we're kind of introduced to like a stone-cold, professional Mandalorian. Like he's just in it to get his paycheck, he doesn't care about anyone besides the money and the job. That is until he meets Grogu or Baby Yoda. They develop kind of like a father-son relationship, and we get to see that relationship grow and thrive throughout more adventures. Then we eventually learn that Baby Yoda is Force-sensitive, so that kind of spices everything up. And the Mandalorian is just kind of insisting on finding someone to train Baby Yoda now that he's Force-sensitive. You know, we get to see Ahsoka, she doesn't want to train him, but it was cool to see her in live action. Then we see Luke Skywalker for the first time, and that was kind of insane. You know, he was mainly CGI, it was pretty controversial at the time, but I think it's aged pretty well. And throughout Season 2, Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, their relationship just continues to develop, and it's kind of nice to watch. And then we build all the way up until the point where Luke Skywalker shows up in the Season 2 finale, and the Mandalorian is forced to make a choice. He knows that it's probably better for Grogu to go and train with Luke Skywalker to develop his Jedi powers, but at the same time, they're like father and son, so it's not an easy decision to make. So after giving it some thought, Din Djarin decides that it's the best thing for Baby Yoda to go train with Luke Skywalker. So before he hands over his new son, he takes off his mask to show Baby Yoda who he is. And in Mandalorian culture, that's kind of a big no-no. So, I mean, that just shows, like, you know, how developed their relationship has become. From the first episode where he was just going to deliver Baby Yoda to people who were going to run tests on him and probably hurt him, to now being his full-fledged father. This was a pivotal moment in the Mandalorian's character development, and it was kind of just reduced to rubbles in Season 3. Well, I guess technically everything kind of got undone in the Book of Boba Fett, but that's its own video. That show is just a mess. It had so much potential, but the way they executed it, it's just a mess. So now in Season 3, they're just back together like nothing ever happened. Like 2 seasons worth of buildup just means nothing. And I mean, it's kind of just frustrating as a viewer. This is kind of an extreme analogy, but imagine after watching Revenge of the Sith, Anakin and Obi-Wan, they have their duel on Mustafar. Anakin becomes Darth Vader. And then in the next season, or whatever, the next movie, Darth Vader's back with the Jedi. I know that's like pretty extreme and kind of generalizes a lot of things, but it's just kind of like the previous season or movie just doesn't even matter. Like, what's the point? Now, that's mainly where Season 3 falls flat. But on top of that, there is one more thing that I do want to mention. I don't really know another way to say this, but this show can just get so boring sometimes. Like the episode where Din Djarin goes to Mandalore to bathe in the ancient waters or whatever. I'm sorry, that episode was just so boring to me. And then there was a whole episode centered around that scientist and then that girl who tricked him. I mean, this stuff was just, it was so slow, bland. It was just uninteresting for me, at least. I don't know how y'all feel. They also really tried to expand on Bo-Katan's character here, and I mean, that's alright, I guess. They could have done it in a better way. They also introduce a new branch of Mandalorians, and it just kind of feels like extra stuff just thrown into the fire. It's like, we don't know who these people are. You didn't introduce them in an entertaining way. So, I mean, we don't really care about these people, but the story just kind of assumes that we do. And then I don't even think I have to mention the episode where Lizzo and Jack Black make a cameo, or whatever you want to call it. I feel like everything has already been said that needs to be said, but it's just, why? I mean, I'm not super against it, but it's just like, you wouldn't see this stuff happening in OG Star Wars. And I feel like it's because the OG Star Wars movies just took themselves seriously. They didn't add these random cameos from famous people who can't really act that well. Like, I'm sorry, you can like Lizzo's music, but she can't act. That's just the truth. That's how I feel. And that's not like an insult. Y'all might have to fact check me on this, but I don't think she's ever been in any other show or movie. So I don't think she deserved to just be thrown into this Star Wars project. And then the final climax with Moff Gideon just feels kind of rushed. I mean, they could have slowed down, taken their time with it. They could have given Moff Gideon an entire episode, honestly, because it felt like the whole Moff Gideon clone situation, that felt extremely rushed. It felt like we were just watching the show, and then it's like, oh, Moff Gideon has a bunch of clones, and then they get destroyed. We don't know how he made them. We didn't see how he made them. And then they were kind of just gone before they played a big role in the show at all. But if you support Mandalorian for the father-son relationship that Din Djarin and Grogu have, you're going to like this season. And it's going to be enjoyable for you. I enjoyed a few episodes myself, but I don't know, I just feel like we deserve better. I feel like modern Star Wars has just kind of been a shell of its former self. And this franchise and its fans just deserve better. So to sum it all up, Season 3 kind of just undid everything we built up to in Seasons 1 and 2. It was kind of bland, it got boring at times, certain plot elements just felt rushed. They introduce us to a whole bunch of characters who just are, relatively just kind of uninteresting. And for how good The Mandalorian has been in the past, this is just such a letdown for me. Now let me know how y'all feel in the comments. If you loved this season, all the power to you. I'm happy that you liked it. I enjoyed some episodes myself, but just overall, I feel disappointed. But that's the cool thing about watching TV shows and movies. You can like what you like, and you can dislike what you dislike. I'm still a huge Star Wars fan. I'm still excited for the future of Star Wars, specifically the Dave Filoni Mandoverse movie. This, for me, is just a little rough patch. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks for watching.